Armin's just in his freezing mode of shock. Armin, you gotta do better than this.
Animation for the hand is so awkward. No, but he's like...
No, but listen, if I was gesturing, that's exactly how I do it. Because it's comedy, just appraising the situation. It's like, oh, that's interesting.
Oh, look at this. This is new.
I wonder what I'm going to do now.
I'm kind of wondering where he gets all of that, though.
Yeah. Well, remember physics.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if he gets hungrier after that happens. Like, where is that energy stored?
Oh, God, it's fucking nosebleed trope.
That was the longest 5 seconds ever. We don't have time for
this,
guys. They would totally be dead like 20 times over by now.
Yeah, I was just panic fuck.
I'm not surprised by this, honestly.
I'm not at all.
Good God, this is like so drawn, like sounds so intense. He's back. Everyone's eye sockets now. Basically, do you want to live or do you want to die?
God.
Wow, I am very not a fan of that episode. That was a pretty bad episode.
I have no negative feelings about it, besides the fact that it always, like, ends so quickly. But...
I feel like now it's just kind of time wasting. They're dragging things out when they don't need to.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that for several episodes. There's several of these have been stretched out longer than they needed to be.
But some of them were okay stretched out because it worked. But for these past two, especially this one, I am not liking them.
I think it's the cumulative effect of all of them combined making me feel that way. More so than the...
But what happened in this episode, really?
Armin had yet another epiphany. But this one's finally, like, productive. He was all like, oh my god, other people have confidence in me. Yeah. And that helped him actually brave a little, which was good. Then he went out, talked to the dudes. Eye Sockets Commando proved himself to be just a panicky monkey.
Basically.
PIKUSHISU showed up and just kicked ass. Then they went up the wall and talked for a while.
Yeah, so nothing.
Yeah, it was like...
It was a very nothing. Like,
no,
I think last episode had more that happened in it than this
I really feel like, honestly, they could have combined these two episodes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And like the last one could have taken up probably a third or 2/3 of the total episode, and this, or maybe half and half. I don't know, because okay, maybe not. I mean, I think if they wanted to dwell on everyone's character development moments the way that they did, with at least some substantial depth, they probably would have needed more than a single episode. But if they had made that episode slightly longer, like cut out a commercial break and made it a 28-minute episode instead of a 22-minute episode, then they could have fit both the previous episode and this one into the one, with still a decent amount of depth put into the stuff. Because a lot of it is just like there's a bunch of scenes that add up to effectively lots of wasted seconds in a bunch of different spots of just and the screen shake or something, and then other reactions to that effect, some smoke just billowing, stuff like that. I think they could have done it better to compress those two.
Like, I feel like if I was handed this as like a book, I would be like, this needs to be so much taken out that was so just unnecessary and dragged out. And like with the last episode, it was mainly just eye sockets yelling, all that same stuff over and over again. That was the dragged out part. But this one, it was pretty much everything that was dragged out. I feel like it's looping back to episode 3 again. At least for me. I mean, I know you're more okay with it than I am, but...
Well, I was also more tolerant of episode 3.
Yeah, episode 3, that's... Yeah, nothing will get that bad, I'm sure. But this was cutting it close. Fairly disappointed with this episode. Like, the last one I could have just dealt with. I would have been like, okay. And I was kind of hoping this one would just speed, forward, just get to the point kind of thing. And it just was like, nope, here's the point again if you missed it. Not impressed. Sad to say.
I mean, I think if you take the story as a whole, the progression over the last 2 episodes is not bad. Like, that's still good. It's just the way they did these 2 episodes with so many scenes being just dragged out just a bit longer than they needed to be in.
It wouldn't be so bad, more so, if the previous episodes had not been so quick. Like, the previous episodes, for the most part, got to the point and gave you the things and just skipped over any stuff that you didn't need to see, or they just chopped it down and it was fast-paced and it worked. And these past 2 were just such a huge contrast, especially this one, such a huge contrast to their previous style that they've used up to this point. And I think that also doesn't help this episode.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I do think that, like, if they had just had the previous episode, and then this was, like, short, this one was shorter, and then they had something else happening.
If they condensed this and then there was more after it.
Yeah, that would have been... You wouldn't have felt that much because the previous episode by itself was like okay.
Yeah, it was just an okay one.
But it's like you combine that one with this one, and it's starting to feel like they're padding space here, which maybe they had to. The typical budget constraint / studio wanted this many episodes first.
Plus, they want to make it suspenseful and keep people interested. And
personally, I don't like shows where every episode is like... I don't like having to wait literally until... Especially if... Because this is okay, because we have the option of freaking watching another episode right now.
Binge watching.
Yes. But if I was watching this actually as it was being aired...
Oh, I'd be so pissed.
This would get real... This always annoys me about shows. I want shows to at least every...
This was good about Avatar.
Yes.
Because they had really conclusions with almost every episode.
Yeah. Most episodes.
Most of the episodes had
nicely.
A nice, solid conclusion, but you still wanted to see more. But it ended so much nicer. And it's yeah. I mean, you mentioned it the last episode that you were sick of cliffhangers, and this one, I'm like, yeah, I think I agree with you that this is getting a bit much. This is like every episode, I think now.
Yeah,
that has, except for episode 3, that has had a cliffhanger.
That's pretty much it.
And it's just like, come on, really? This is getting annoying.
Because, I mean, they're not, like, per se cliffhangers, but they're definitely not concluded plot lines.
Yeah, that too. That's kind of what I meant.
Yeah. I don't think, especially, because I think that's a technique that a lot of shows use just because it's a lazy fallback to try to keep viewers interested in the show. Because if you're already mid-story plot at a point, you're going to want to know what the hell happens. But it just gets really tiring to deal with that. And this show is good enough so far that it really shouldn't be... The writers shouldn't be falling back on that. They don't need to.
I think, I don't know, it just is such a drastic change in style. I mean, this might be one of those times, I don't know for sure. I've seen this happen in other shows where the networks get involved, and they're like, whoa, you guys are doing great. Why don't you do these things, and if you don't, we'll, like, cancel you. And it's just, I've seen shows...
Business logic.
Yeah, business logic. Oh, because that always works. And I've seen shows get so hurt because of this. And I'm not saying this is this episode, but it feels like that. Just because it feels so different from their previous episodes.
I don't know.
Just for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's what happened, but... It just...
I don't feel like this episode is that different on itself. It's just that overall, they could have been... It's notably improvable.
If you compare it to, like, another episode, I feel like there's enough differences. I mean, not even the previous one, like any other one aside from episode 3, then you'd see, like, noticeable style differences of timing and writing and...
Yeah, but I think that gets back to it looks like they're just trying to pad airtime right now.
Yeah, I guess.
And I mean, that could very well be network involvement, more in the long-running sense of, we scheduled this many episodes this season, you're gonna fill those episodes. To be fair, though, this episode isn't as cliffhangery as the previous ones.
Yeah. It felt more concluded.
Yeah, there's more of a thing, isn't it? Yeah,
it's more like a, okay, kind of episode at the very end.
Yeah.
You just take a little breath.
I like PIKUSHISU, though.
He's a very interesting character. I mean, he seems to dominate the screen whenever he's on it, and he seems very strong, and you kind of don't really know what he's thinking, and sometimes for characters that work, and I think it's kind of working for him, because you don't really know his personality for sure yet, because at times he seems really serious, and other times he seems completely playful, and you kind of don't know which one you're going to encounter when he's there, and I kind of like that, for him at least, not for every character.
I was actually off in my own thoughts about eccentric characters in general, and how you don't usually when you see characters that are explicitly billed as, eccentric, weirdo, whatever, they're more played for laughs.
Yeah.
This one they seem to be taking seriously as a character, which is nice. I don't want to see where they go with that. Just from a writing perspective, that seems to be a very interesting route to go. Because I don't think those get explored all that often.
So he's pretty much the highlight, I think, of this episode.
I mean, I like Armin's growth thing here, this tiny little spurt, but
does he look drawn differently to you? I'm not sure if it's just I haven't seen him in a while.
I feel like they had a lot more of him yelling. And less frozen with shock face, which they've been doing a lot.
So used to that. He's so much more expression. He's expressing himself a lot more.
But also in general, to me, it looks like they do have, on a regular basis, faces will look different between shots.
I noticed that actually a lot with the eye sockets this episode. When he was turning his head, did they get different artists or something? There was one shot that I was like, whoa, what happened to your face? It looks completely different. But
yeah, I think they have multiple people working on
No, I mean, obviously they have multiple artists, but that was a drastic difference.
They have multiple people who are trying to emulate a specific preset style, because this show does look a bit visually different than a lot of anime I've seen.
Yeah, I really think that's a lot of it has to do with the line weight, how they do line weight.
The point is, it may just be that they're doing something unconventional enough that their artists are still trying to figure out exactly what they're doing for each face, etc.
I don't know, not much else to say, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that covers it. Sadly, another lackluster episode, but hopefully the next ones will be better. I'm sure they will. So, I guess that's it. And we'll see you guys next time.